They told you to study hard, get good grades, get into a good college, and find a stable job. They told you this was the path to security, to freedom, to a good life. They told you that if you followed the rules, did everything right, stayed out of debt, and saved diligently, you'd be rewarded. But here's the truth. That story, the one we're all fed from the moment we can hold a pencil, is a lie. It's not just outdated, it's deliberate. Because the system isn't broken. It was built this way, and it was never built to make you rich. It was designed to make you compliant. Let's go back. Think about where your first ideas about money came from. For most people, it wasn't from a financial advisor or an investor. It came from school. The very place that shapes our understanding of the world taught us nothing about wealth, only how to work for someone else. You learned how to calculate compound interest, but no one taught you how to actually invest. You learned the difference between gross and net income, but never how to build passive income. You were graded on how well you could memorize historical dates and recite equations, but never on how to manage credit, leverage assets, or navigate taxes. This isn't accidental. The traditional education system was designed during the Industrial Revolution. It was built to train workers for factories, not entrepreneurs for the digital age. Bell schedules, standardized tests, obedience to authority. This wasn't education. It was indoctrination into a system that thrives on predictability and control. And that brings us to the financial lie they taught you in school. Here it is. In one sentence, hard work alone leads to wealth. It sounds noble, it feels earned, but it's a trap, because the truth is, hard work doesn't scale. You can only work so many hours in a day. Your body gets tired, your time is limited, but capital never sleeps. It compounds, it leverages, it moves silently through systems most people don't even know exist. The truly wealthy don't trade time for money. They use money to buy freedom from time, and they learned early on that the most important subject school never teaches is how money really works. Let's talk about what they should have taught you. For starters, the difference between income and wealth. Most people chase income, more hours, bigger salary, better title. But the wealthy, they chase assets. Not just things that look expensive, things that produce income. Real estate, stocks, private equity, businesses, royalties, intellectual property. Things that make money whether they're awake or asleep. You were probably told that saving is smart. Put money in the bank, be responsible. But in today's world, saving is losing. Inflation eats away your purchasing power every year. The bank gives you 0.01% interest while using your money to lend at 6%. They keep the profit. You get pennies. Meanwhile, the wealthy borrow money cheaply and use it to buy appreciating assets. They taught you to fear debt, but the rich use debt as a tool. Strategic debt, leveraged debt, tax-advantaged debt. They borrow against assets without triggering a tax event, then reinvest the borrowed money into even more income-producing opportunities. Their wealth accelerates. Yours stagnates. You were taught to avoid risk, but no one explained the biggest risk of all: relying on one source of income your whole life, one employer, one paycheck, one emergency away from collapse. That's not security, that's servitude. The wealthy think differently. They diversify income streams. They build businesses. They buy time. They delegate. They automate. They own systems. In school, you were rewarded for the right answers. In life, you're rewarded for asking the right questions. Who benefits from you following the traditional path? Who profits when you stay in debt, fear taxes, and never invest? Who wins when you don't understand the game? Here's another lie, that taxes are just the cost of living. The truth is, the tax code is a map, a set of incentives, and those who understand it legally pay less. The wealthy don't evade taxes. They use taxes. They invest in what governments reward: housing, jobs, infrastructure, energy, and in return, they get deductions, write-offs, and loopholes. But did school teach you that? Of course not, because teaching you how to minimize taxes isn't in the interest of a system that profits when you don't. Even the way we define success is warped. Degrees, job titles, car brands, symbols of status, not substance. The financial elite don't flex, they optimize. They don't need validation, they own the game. And here's where it gets deeper. If you don't understand how money works, you become a product. Your attention is sold, your data is monetized, your labor is taxed, your time is exchanged for survival. But once you start seeing the structure behind the curtain, everything changes. You realize you don't need to be born into money. You need to be reborn in mindset. You realize the power of compounding doesn't just apply to interest. It applies to knowledge, habits, relationships, and investments. You realize that freedom isn't bought. It's built, one decision at a time. And when you look at the most successful people in the world, those who came from nothing and built empires, it wasn't because they followed the system. It's because they learned to see outside of it. They studied what school never taught. They took control of their finances, their time, and their future. So what's the takeaway? If you're still waiting for someone to give you permission to start, stop waiting. No one's coming to save you. The world isn't fair, but it is full of opportunity. And the faster you unlearn what they taught you in school, the faster you can start building something that's truly yours. If you found this video eye-opening, subscribe to Money Llama now. We're building a community of people who are done playing by outdated rules. A generation that's ready to think, build, and invest differently. Because once you understand the lie, you're ready to rewrite the truth. This is Money Llama. Welcome to financial clarity.